next week.
Nobody from West Wind?
Yeah, online.
Online, yeah. Okay, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, I didn't do it. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the August Ordinary Council meeting. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet this evening and pay my respects to their elders and to the elders of any other communities that may be with us this evening. Thank you. Receipt of apologies. I have one from Councillor Bernadette Hogan, who won't be with us this evening. All the other councillors are here. Now, as this is a hybrid meeting, I have to ask the people on screen, and I'll go individually. So, Councillor Warren, can you hear and see us?
I can, thank you, Mayor.
And we can hear and see you. Councillor Pollard, can you hear and see us?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I can hear and see you.
That wasn't very good. Can you say that again, please, Councillor Pollard?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I can see and hear you.
Councillor Stewart, can you see and hear us?
Yes, I can.
Right, you're a little bit soft, but we sort of can hear you. Councillors, are you happy with it? Yeah, all right. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
I do have difficulty hearing councillors Stewart and Pollard.
All right. Rowan, is there?
It's from Stuart Pollard's end. I'll have to something with their line.
Councillor Warren, it's not from our end. It seems to be from Councillor Pollard and Councillor Stewart's end that we. I don't know whether we can do anything, or whether you can do anything there, councillors, to improve your sound at all.
Okay, I'll go with it. If it becomes an issue, I'll raise it with you, because I mean, we are in a hybrid situation.
Correct.
And we need to be able to be seen and heard by everyone.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to test again.
And Councillor Pollard, can we test your sound again, please?
Just hear that, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear and see me or not? I've got to get a little bit closer.
Yeah, look, it's getting, actually the picture is starting to get fuzzy too. I'm not sure what's sort of happening there, but I could hardly hear what you just said then, Councillor Pollard. I'm not sure what we.
Yeah, so I could ask if you're using Wi-Fi or.
We're using Starlink Wi-Fi.
That was actually better. I mean, your picture's a little bit fading in and out, but we can. That was at least better in the sound quality.
How's that been, Mr. Mayor?
I'm not sure whether we can proceed with that.
Video.
Can I get some advice whether we should proceed with that? Because at this moment, I couldn't hear that either, Councillor Pollard. I'm sorry. So I open some governance on that. What we need to do here.
Can we potentially turn the screen off to see if the sound is better?
No, but we can't see it.
To be able to see the councillors.
I can't see Councillor Pollard at all now. And you're back again now.
But he's probably moving around to probably turn back around.
Councillor Pollard, are you able to turn off your background?
Need Rowan here.
Have you tried one?
I think that works, the result of the sound issue.
No, but at least we will be able to see them a bit clearer.
That's
What he's coming from.
Play the movie.
Can't see it. Or looking for it.
We can defer the meeting for half an hour, I know that.
Yeah, we defer it for half an hour if you need to, then need to.
And they needed to stop venues
If they
from,
wanted to swap internet or swap venues.
so if they're at the Ritz or at Kelton Chambers, they might be able to swap to the other venue.
Councillor Pollard, I've lost you completely at the minute. You're faintly back now. Can you turn your background off at all, Councillor Pollard?
Alternatively, we did want to defer for half an hour. Alternatively, we proceed, and there would be no that was absent. But you can defer for half an hour.
Can we get another sound check, Councillor Pollard, please? That clears your head up a little bit, which is good. Now, can we just speak, please?
You're on mute.
We're just on mute, are we? No, we're not on mute now.
That's brilliant. That's very good. We will proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, right, I'll just log in on the other one.
You're good. We can hear you and see you clearly now. Councillor Warren, your situation with the other two councillors, has that improved?
Certainly, if we could test both councillors, please.
Councillor Stewart, please, would you mind speaking? No, could not hear you, sorry. I can hear Councillor Pollard, so you might be too far away from the microphone section. I can see you clearly.
We're both sitting the same distance away.
There we go. Now we got you. We got you now. Thank you. Councillor Warren, happy with that?
I can work with that. If it becomes an issue, I will let you know, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 3, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Council, we had a recommendation that council adopt the minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, 10th of July, 2024. Could I get a mover for that motion, please?
Happy to move that, Mayor.
Councillor Mill, Councillor Warren, all those in favour? Carried, thank you. Request of leave of absence, I have none that I know of. Item 5, declarations of pecuniary and conflict of interest. In accordance with section 132 of the Local Government Act 2020, councillors who have a conflict of interest in respect to a matter being considered at this meeting must A, disclose the conflict of interest in the matter required by the governance rules 2020 and A, exclude themselves from any decision-making process in relation to that matter, including any discussion or vote on the matter at any council meeting or delegated committee and any action in relation to that matter. Disclosure must occur immediately before the matter is considered. Councillors, do we have any conflict of interest this evening?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not at this stage. Not at this stage, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Item 6, questions from the public, of which we don't have any. Item 7, procedural matters. 7.1, report of council assemblies. Council's got a recommendation that council note the report of council assembly meetings held on the 3rd and the 17th of July 2024. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Simpson and a seconder. Councillor Mill. Councillor Mill. All those in favour? That's carried. Councillor Stewart, I just need to see a hand when we're voting, please. I just couldn't see one at that particular point of time. 7.2, correspondence. Correspondence initiated by council. I don't have any, so we don't need to do that recommendation. I would not have believed. 7.3, letters of congratulation and recognition of achievement awards. Again, I have none. Councillor Mill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'd like to nominate Carolyn Olive for an award or for a recognition of her 20 years service to the Golden Grain Museum, please.
Yep. In that case.
Like membership.
Yeah. In that case, the recommendation that council acknowledge and congratulate the persons and or groups mentioned in the report for their achievements. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Mill, a seconder. Councillor Warren, any further discussion? No, thank you. 7.4, status of action of past council meetings resolutions. Office of the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, we provide council a list of the status of action of council resolutions outstanding for completion of action for the 10th July 2024 council meeting resolutions.
Thank you. Council have a recommendation that council note the status of action report on council resolutions documented on this list. Could I have a mover and a seconder for those, please? Councillor Pollard, a seconder. Councillor Simpson. So that's for noting. So all those in favour?
Yep.
That's carried. Thank you. 7.5, planning applications received monthly updates. Ms Atkins, I believe this would be you.
It is me. Thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors. This report provides information on planning applications under consideration and the status of each of these applications. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councils have a recommendation that council note the information contained in the report on planning applications under consideration and the status of each of these applications. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Mill.
Yeah, I'm happy to move. Got a question as well.
And a seconder, Councillor Pollard and Councillor Mill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, I raised an issue during the week with some staff with regard to a application for a permit within the township of Watchet. While I have an answer on that, I guess, and we have gallery member tonight representing that item. I guess my concern is why doesn't it appear on any of the lists?
Okay, through the Mayor, any application that needs to be considered to council needs to pay the application fee. As I understand, that has not occurred as yet.
Right, so has that been made clear to the applicant?
That's been
Yep.
communicated. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comment?
No.
That's enough. So all those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. 7.6, building permit monthly update. Again, Ms Atkins, you.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors. This is your standard monthly report providing information on building permits approved for the month of July 2024 for your noting. Thank you.
Thank you. Council's recommendation that council note the information contained in the report on building permits approved by staff from 1 July 2024 to 31 July 2024. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please?
A point, thank you, Mayor, if I may. This
Certainly.
also contains a list of building permits reviewed by the council surveyor and others, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yes.
Yep, okay, that's all right.
It's on the back of mine. Yeah. So could I get a mover and a seconder, please?
Happy to move that.
Thank you. Councillor Warren, a seconder.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Councillor Mill, as that's for noting, carried. 8, general business policy reports. And 8.2.1, planning application PA 24011, use and development of land for a dwelling, McLaughlin Road, Warmer. Now, I believe we have somebody coming in online.
The officer would,
Oh, you want
director would introduce. and then we'll-
Miss Atkins, that's you again.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors, I would like to present planning permit application 24011 for your consideration. You will note on page 18 and 19 that the access to the property states McLaughlin's Road. However, council officers wish to note that the access is from Welcomeville Birchip Road. This report has been presented to councillors for consideration. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
It's not these people on the way, I mean.
Both can be admitted, they're both.
Yes.
So what has it?
Madam Chair. Good evening, Andrew. We can see you, and can you see and hear us as a requirement of our meeting?
Good evening. Affirmative to both.
Thank you. I've got a Lachlan Smith coming in. I can't see him at the moment, so I'll wait a minute until he arrives. And here we go. Good evening, Lachlan. As a requirement of our meeting, can you hear and see us?
Yes, I can. And thank you for hosting us tonight.
No problems. Gentlemen, you have 3 minutes to talk on this matter, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this meeting. My name's Andrew Crack, and I hold the position of Head of Planning and Environment at West Wind Energy. West Wind is one of Australia's leading wind energy developers with more than 2 gigawatts of projects in construction or operation, having an established presence in Australia since 2004. The proposed Wilkes Energy Park project comprises up to 97 turbines across 10,500 hectares southwest of Birchip, and project benefits include power for more than 500,000 homes, equating to 5.5% of Victoria's annual energy consumption. Page 21 of the council meeting agenda usefully illustrates the proximity of the proposed dwelling to planned wind turbine generators at its nearest point. The dwelling would be a mere 475 metres from a generator. For completeness, the project dwelling, or the proposed dwelling, I should say, is 144 metres from the project boundary to the west and 178 metres from the boundary to the south. Now, from the outset, West Wind endorses the Planning Officer's assessment of the permit application and recommendation to Council that issue a notice of refusal to grant a permit. The assessment is considered and appropriately addresses the Council's ambit of discretion in this matter. We say the recommendation is sound, and the only reasonable recommendation has been made having regard to the ambit of discretion, the proposal's lack of merit. The 2 recommended grounds of refusal succinctly go to the 2 key matters for determination. Firstly, whether the proposal constitutes orderly planning, and secondly, whether the proposal will result in net community benefit. We say that both questions must be answered in the negative. In summary, the relevant provisions of the farming zone are there to minimise the potential for land use conflict arising from noise and shadow flicker impacts from wind energy facilities to accommodation uses. Importantly, is a consideration designed to protect both wind farm operations and the amenity of the occupants of the accommodation use, as opposed to one or the other. Being the agent of change, the burden is rightly placed upon the proponent of the accommodation use to demonstrate to the satisfaction of the council that it has considered the potential to be adversely affected by noise and shadow flicker impacts and the need to locate or design the building to avoid or reduce these impacts. We agree with the Senior Planning Officer's summary at page 20 that the proposed dwelling is likely to be adversely affected by noise and shadow flicker impacts. There are mandatory requirements not met by its application in terms of how it responds to the decision guidelines. We agree with the Senior Planning Officer's summary at page 21 that the proposed dwelling has been located with no regard to potential impacts from the operation of the facility.
20
no
seconds.
measures have been proposed to avoid or reduce impacts. Respectfully, the planning application is poorly conceived and unresolved. Disappointingly, despite West Wind's best efforts to proactively engage and consult with the proponent, such efforts have been to no avail. Put simply, the dwelling proposal falls at the first hurdle by failing to demonstrate any regard to the operation of the proposed wind energy facility or indeed the amenity of its future occupants. Plainly, the proposal...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, we've got a recommendation that Council issue a notice of refusal to grant a permit in relation to planning application 24011 in the respect of the land known and described as McLaughlin's Road, Warmer, Lot 1, title plan 674588 for the use and development of land for dwelling in accordance with the plans, with the application dated the 3rd of April 2024 on the following grounds. 1, the proposal does not provide for orderly planning, and 2, the proposal does not meet net community benefit consideration. Councillors, could I have a councillor move the motion on those regards, please? at this stage, I don't have a mover or a seconder on this matter.
Mr Mayor,
Sorry?
I'm not prepared to move the recommendation. I'm prepared to move the recommendation.
Oh, can't hear.
Sorry, councillor Pollard, we've lost you again, sorry.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I would like to remove the recommendation that the council grants this permit. As
Cannot hear.
Sorry, councillor Pollard, but we can't hear you.
can you hear me yet, Mr Mayor?
Barely.
Barely. I can't get much closer to me nose than the feedback. I'd like to, Mr Mayor, I'd like to move a motion that we grant this permit because I am comfortable to know that the access permit was granted before.
Councillor Pollard, I can't make out, I'm not sure other councillors can, but I just cannot pick you up on that one at the moment, I'm sorry. I know you're saying something, but I cannot pick that up. I'm not really sure. Can you move to another area to hook in, or is that possible?
In the chat,
No?
you need to refer for 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's volunteer.
Councillor Pollard, councillor Stewart, I'll defer the meeting for 30 minutes to allow you to move.
We're open. Okay, advice from governance officer.
Yeah, through the chair, you wouldn't be deferring the meeting for 30 minutes. You would adjourn the meeting, probably for 5 to 10, but not 30 minutes yet.
On advice of governance, I'll adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes to allow you to re-hook in, so to speak, so that we can actually hear what you're saying. So we stand adjourned for 10 minutes from now.
So that's 7:42. We will return.
So we'll return at 7:42.
We have adjourned.
20 minutes,
So,
7:32.
oh, 7:30.
No, sorry, 7:32. I've got a bum steer here.
Sorry, 7:32.
Okay.
Do we shut that down?
No, we can keep going, but mute.
What's that?
Would they have to move that side?
We try his other community or we can see that.
Yes, that's.
Oh,
It'll be a lot clearer for a start off.
Yeah.
Got a lot of repeating.
It's true.
Because you've still got the other device. So I don't have the device, Councillor Poland.
It is.
Nice, back through the other one,
Yeah.
back around.
Close down the computer you originally checked in on, Councillor Pollard, please.
What's that now? Yeah, we've turned that one off.
Yeah, turn the one off that you come in on the first time and just use the one you're on now.
Yeah, righto. Gonna turn off that one.
Sorry, gentlemen, it's a modern technology. We're having issues with it.
Okay, let's try that.
Now speak, please, Councillor Pollard.
How's that, Mr. Mayor?
That's very good. I can hear you clearly and I can actually see you clearly. So you were speaking. We've still got a couple of minutes, or can I bring the meeting back in and we'll have to wait the full 10?
Yeah, righto.
You bring it back in.
All right, so as we've got connection, I will bring the meeting back in. Councillor Warren, how is your hearing of Councillor Pollard and Councillor Stewart at the minute?
That seems to be quite good, Mayor. Thank you.
No worries. All right, Councillor Pollard, you were saying something, and we should be able to hear what you're saying this time.
As motion has lapsed that we refuse the planning permit, I'd like to move a motion that we grant the planning permit on the grounds that the applicant actually had a planning permit for an access road prior to the wind farm proposal put into it. And I just believe that we should be looking at granting the permit because I believe that he had his permit in first. And when he put the access permit in, it didn't trigger a planning permit for the residents until the wind farm was actually granted or proposed.
Thank you. That motion, do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Stewart. Discussion. Councillor Pollard, you're the mover. You may have already had your discussion, but is there anything further you'd like to add?
Well, and just reading the recommendation, the planning permit lines up with everything except for being a close proximity to the wind energy in our planning scheme. And as I said, I believe that when the wind energy proposal was put forward, it should have considered the actual residents in situ or the residents there, because they knew the proposal was already in there. The proposal for a residence was there before the wind farm proposal was put forward. Thank you.
Peter?
I need to take some advice in relation to this, because if, as councillor Pollard indicated, the motion had lapsed, I think that's move on to the next item. Now, if councillor Pollard wanted to move a motion, could have moved the motion. But I think there needs to be some direction as to whether the original recommendation lapses was a motion that lapsed or not.
Andrew? Just taking some advice here, gentlemen. The monitor, I'm not sure whether you're all able to pick up what the monitor was saying. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My advice is that when it comes to planning matters, council needs to make a decision. Now, that is either to issue a permit or refuse a permit. And at the moment, council has no decision or made no decision in relation to this matter. And I believe that council should be making a decision. There's been no opportunity in moving a motion for someone to speak for or against and foreshadow another motion, which would be the normal course. So within the governance rules, I believe that's okay.
So we're happy with that alternative motion, or the motion that councillor Pollard's put forward and seconded by councillor Stewart. Councillor Stewart, comment please on the motion.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Certainly.
I agree with councillor Pollard, because the application does meet all the planning requirements other than that proposed buffer that is caused by the adjacent proposed wind farm. I don't believe that the energy facility should be able to use and therefore restrict the usage of land that they don't own in order to meet their required buffer for their application, and therefore restrict the rights of this applicant to develop his land. So I'm in total agreement with councillor Pollard on this.
Thank you. Other councillors? Councillor Warren.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity. In previous discussions, I suppose I did ask the question, in the history of the Baloch Shire, have they refused such an application to locate a property on a farm? The answer was no. I think the intersection of, I suppose, or intervention of a new facility seems to indicate that things are changing. However, if you like, there is no precedent for this. So I think at this stage we need to look at our precedents, and basically we've allowed these matters to happen before, and we'll probably continue to allow these matters before. So, I mean, even like in the recommendation, does not provide for orderly planning. Well, this is just a normal orderly planning matter. So I support Councillor Pollard's motion.
Other councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I also have an issue, and I guess it's probably past the point of this, but it needs to be said that these sort of things should not interfere with the neighbour's property. So I would think that these wind and energy companies need to rethink their situation drastically, that when they propose something like this, that they do not allow a structure to come within the setback period of that property, or go over the line of that property. Everything should be contained within the property where the poles or the facility will be located. So I think that's a message that has to go through to these companies, that you cannot and should not interfere with the neighbour in any way, shape or form, and out of good neighbourly conduct, whether they've had any interaction with the company or not, they should not be put in that situation. So, and the other one I would like to ask of or make comment about is that I'm not 100% sure that the application or the applicant to locate a dwelling has provided enough information for planning. And I would also probably suggest that maybe we could have taken more time to follow up some more of those issues with the applicant to just to make sure that in a situation like this, that all dots are crossed and all I's are dotted and all T's are crossed. So I think there's a bit on both sides of this application and this recommendation that we can learn from, but certainly my message is that construction of these facilities should in no way impede on a neighbour.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson.
So there's a proposal for nearly 100 turbines. The proposal to construct a home in the original area of the farm homestead would affect a minimal number of turbines, and if the buffer zone is required, then only a minimal number of turbines would be affected in not being placed near that home.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard, just back to you. You're the mover. Can I ask you to reaffirm your motion and final comments, please?
I'd reaffirm my motion to grant this planning permit. As we said before, we've got already got an access permit which goes onto a Vic Roads road, which I think is great because that's not entrance to our local road network. And as I said, that application was in before the proposed wind farm, so it didn't trigger a planning permit. It's only triggered a planning permit because of our proposed wind farm.
Thank you.
So, Mr Mayor, through you, we do need a motion to be clearly outlined.
I think you did to grant the permit.
That's the motion in full.
We're just trying to make sure we got the motion in full. So your motion, Councillor Pollard, just to be clear, is to grant the planning permit for this dwelling. That's my motion, is to grant the planning permit for this dwelling. Thank you, Councillor Pollard. All right, so we've just been told we can't grant the permit, but we'll issue a notice to grant the permit.
Yeah, I understand that. Sorry.
Notice of decision. We'll just get the wording right.
Yeah.
And we need to use all those lot one etc., not just the home.
And Mr Mayor, are there any conditions on that permit? Clarification.
If you would like to, obviously states.
Thank you.
On there.
Look, I've just been handed an alternative motion for consideration, so please bear with me and I'll read this out. The council, having cause notice of planning application number 24011 to be given under section 52 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, and having considered all the matters required under section 60 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, decides to issue a notice of decision to grant a permit under the provisions of 35.07-1 and 35.07-4 of the Bull Oak Planning Scheme in respect to the land known and described as McLaughlin's Road, Warmer, Lot 1, Title Plan 674588 for the use and development of land for a dwelling in accordance with the endorsed plans, with the application dated the 3rd of April 2024, subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, the use and development shown on the endorsed plan must not be altered without written consent of the responsible authority. Condition 2, The use and development must be managed so that the amenity of the area is not detrimentally affected through A, transport of material and goods and commodities to and from the land, B, the appearance of the building works or materials, C, the emission of noise, artificial light, vibration, smells, fumes, smokes, vapour, steam, soot, ash, dust, wastewater, waste products, grit or oil, and D, presence of vermin. And I'm still going by the look of it. 3, the use and development of land must not interfere with the surrounding existing use, including agriculture. 4, external light must be designed, baffled and located so as to prevent any adverse effect on adjoining land to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Services. 5, prior to occupation of the dwelling must be provided via all-weather road access with the dimensions adequate to accommodate emergency vehicles. 6, the dwelling must be connected to reticulated electrical supply or have alternative energy source to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. 7, the dwelling must be connected to reticulated potable water supply and an alternative potable water supply with adequate storage for domestic use as well as for firefighting purposes to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. 8, the dwelling must be connected to reticulated sewage if available. If reticulated sewage is not available, all wastewater from the dwelling must be treated and retained within the lot in accordance with requirements of the EPA Environment Protection Regulations under the Environment Protection Act 2017 for the on-site wastewater management system. 9, the septic and wastewater system must be approved by the responsible authority prior to commencement of the building works. Drainage. 10, all stormwater runoff from the proposed development hereby permitted must be disposed of to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. 11, no pollutant and or sediment laden runoff is to be discharged directly or indirectly into the responsible authority's drains or water courses. Commencement. 12, the permit will operate from the issue date of this permit. Permit expiry. The permit is related to the use and development and will expire if one of the following circumstances applies. A, the development is not started within 2 years of the issue date of this permit. B, the development is not completed within 4 years of the issue date of this permit. The permit does not start within the use does not start within 2 years of completion of the development. And in accordance with section 69 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, the responsible authority may extend the period referred to if a request is made in writing before the permit expires or within 6 months afterwards. Permit notes. It's a responsibility to ensure all authorisations are obtained prior to any works commencing. This may include building, engineer, local law permits. You also are required to abide by any state, federal legislation in relation to your approved proposal. Now, Councillor Pollard, are you happy to move that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move that. It's come from a planner, which I am not a planner. So I'm glad that the planner was ready for the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart, you're also prepared to second that?
Yes, I am.
Councillors, you've now heard the motion in full. I'll put that to the vote. So all those in favour of Councillor Pollard's alternative motion?
No.
Against? That's your abstaining.
Yep.
So that's carried. Thank you. Gentlemen, as you've heard, you've heard the discussion and the alternate motion which has been passed here by council. I do thank you for coming to present to us tonight, and I will leave that in your court, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, Councillor Warren.
Just for a point of clarification. The original motion lapsed, so I would take that Councillor Pollard's was not an alternative motion, but a motion. Would that be correct?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. I think in the minutes it needs to show that is a motion, not an alternative motion.
Thank you. On the next one. Yes. Good, thank you, Ron. 8.2.2, planning application PA 24019, two-lot subdivision, rural dwelling excision, and the recreation of an easement at 332 Goddard Road, Teddywaddy West. Ms. Acton, yours again.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors, I would like to present planning permit application 24019 for your consideration. Please note the recommendation has been amended to now recommend that the council grants the permit rather than notice of decision to grant a planning permit. This is an editing error and now correctly reflects the process. This report has been presented to councillors for consideration. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, we have a recommendation that council issue a notice of decision to grant.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, as Gaynor pointed out, the amended recommendation is that council issue. Sorry, Gaynor, do you want to repeat?
Recommend that council grant a permit rather than notice of decision to grant a permit.
The amended recommendation is removing notice of a decision. Yeah. Just an editing error.
So that,
So we'll get rid of that. All right. Council recommendation that council issue a decision to grant planning permit in relation to planning application number PA 24019 in respect to the land known and described as 332 Goddard Road, Teddywaddy West, Crown Allotment 70, Parish of Teddywaddy, with a two-lot subdivision, rural dwelling excision, and the creation of an easement in accordance with the endorsed plans with the application dated the 21st of March 2024, subject to the following conditions. I'm not going to read that lot. I'll take them as read because there's quite a number of them. Can we have a mover and a seconder for a motion, please?
You're happy to move that, Mr. Mayor?
Councillor Milne and a seconder. Councillor Pollard. Thank you. Councillor Milne, discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, happy to move this motion. I think it's something that we've had a precedent in that, and a desire to keep people within our rural community. I guess if properties are leased or changed hands over time, and we lose families out of those areas, then we've got houses sitting empty and a declining population. So rather than see that happen, I am much more in favour of houses or small lots like this being excised, as long as they meet all terms and conditions and understand that they're in a farming zone and farming must continue around them. That this is a way of keeping our population somewhat stable and fit into the rural community and our local area, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard.
I'd just like to endorse Councillor Milne's remarks.
Thank you.
It's a nice size allotment, so there's plenty of room to maintain some trees to lose some of the agricultural noise.
Thank you. Any other councillor? No. There's no other questions. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. 8.2.3 Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program Phase 4, Acting Manager of Assets. I'm assuming that would be you, Mr. McLaughlin.
Yeah, the author of the report, the Mayor may have been the Acting Manager of Assets, but I'll present this one to the council tonight. So thank you, and through you, councillors, this report outlines council's nominations for the federal government's local road community infrastructure Phase 4, Part A and B. Although Shire Council was allocated at $1,599,763 under Part A, which is for roads and community infrastructure projects, and another $922,779 under Part B, which is to be used for roads projects only. Crucially, Phase 4 guidelines included a use it or lose it principle that if an eligible funding recipient had not applied for the full amount of their Phase 4 nominal funding allocation in a draft work scheduled by 30 June 2024, or savings related to eligible projects have not been reallocated under the eligible funding recipients phase 4 nominal funding allocation before 1 January 2025, then the Australian government has the right to not pay the amount from the nominal funding allocation. Officers submitted the attached draft work schedule in line with projects included in this year's approved annual budget prior to June 30 to make the draft work schedule deadline. Councillors, tonight we bring you this report for noting.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Just upgraded your status. Councillors have a recommendation that council note the local road and community infrastructure phase 4 projects as attachment 1 to this report, and 2, delegate the authority of the Chief Executive Officer to approve all variations to the local road and community infrastructure program phase 4 funding agreement. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Warren and a seconder. Councillor Simpson. Discussion, Councillor Warren?
No, Mayor, I know we live in a fast-paced environment, and these things move around a little bit. Hopefully they get done in the end.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson.
It's just good to see that we have received an allocation from government, and that we will be able to utilise that in our roads network.
Thank you. Any other council? Nothing else. All those in favour? Yep. That is carried. Thank you. You're right. Yep. 8.2.4 Tourism Business Innovation Grants. Ms. Atkins, you're very busy this evening, but can you have another go, please?
You're only halfway through, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors. I'm pleased to present this report to council. This is the third and final round of these grants. They're part of a pilot program funded externally through Departments of Jobs, Precincts and Regions Tourism Infrastructure Program. 3 applications were received for this program and assessed as per the program guidelines. This report has been presented to councillors for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Council has been a recommendation that council allocates $20,000 from the Tourism Business Innovation Grant Program with the Ray Neville Silo Art Virtual Community Forum Inc. project. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the motion, please?
I'm happy to move for discussion purposes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milne, and a seconder. Councillor Simpson. Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess my feelings on this is that the word innovation in this particular situation probably becomes obsolete in the form of with the recommendation in that while I'm a supporter of the Ray Neville Silos project, and funding is desperately needed for this. And I guess is an ongoing worry for the movers and shakers for that particular project to get funding. I'm just not sure that it fits into this program, although as outlined, it does meet 95% of the criteria set out in the rules and regulations of this grant. I guess what I'm disappointed in this situation is that we've been put in this situation, I guess, and it's not a staff issue. It's not anybody's real fault. It's the way the rules are written, and it's probably I guess not so much a lack of quality applications. There are other applications that may well have met criteria if we looked at it differently. So I just think that this particular one is not innovative. Silos are not new, but in this particular case, it is what it is.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson.
I appreciate that this has been a long-standing project of the community or some of the community, and it meets the funding criteria. And so to continue our solo art attraction throughout our shire, it will be good to see this project be able to be funded.
Any other councillors comment?
Um,
Sorry, Councillor Warren?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, to some degree, when I first saw this, it screamed to me that this is not innovative. We've had silos around the district for many years now, and even further afield. I suppose what this does in like some areas is provide a funding boost. However, it's still a long way from where it needs to be. And I do notice that within 12 months' time, we'll revisit this. And I think that's important, that we revisit this to see where it's at. I mean, if they haven't been, I don't know, this project's been going on for many years, as I understand it. Certainly in my time as mayor, it was on the books. I see that they've raised, what, about $30,000 in a number of years. We're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't, along those lines, if you follow me. But I think perhaps we need to look at our assessment. We also need to have a look at who made the assessment. I don't see any names apportioned to this particular report, but that's maybe the topic for the next discussion. So, look, they're my views, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other councillor Mills?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, no, hang on, you'll come back.
Yeah.
Any, councillor Pollard, councillor Stewart, any comments? No. Councillor Mills?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, just to conclude, I guess, is that if, as Councillor Warren has indicated, I mean, we'll review this in 12 months' time or thereabouts, but if the balance of the funds aren't raised to support this project, then the situation would be as with any other grants that we hand out under these community grant situations and tourism grants. I guess that the opportunity for this to be handed over would lapse. Can I have clarification on that, please?
Ms. Atkins, can I have you answer that question, please?
I might just take that on note. I'm unsure if it's going to be funded, but I'm sure that we can probably put conditions onto the grant that if they're not expended or funds aren't raised in addition to the ones provided in the application, that we can review potentially, but I'll have to take further advice.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I guess, well, as I said, I'm in favour of the project. I just don't want to see that money sit in a bank account and not be expended in the next whatever years that it might take. So I guess, I mean, do we need something? Does the motion need to reflect that this money might come back? Do we need to? I'm happy to take that as.
I'll take that advice on that.
That's part of the rules of handing this money out.
As an expiry, as a condition,
yes.
that it would expire in line with the grant funding.
Well, at some point down the track, if they don't receive enough funding to do this project, what happens to the money? Where does it go? Who owns it?
So I think we probably possibly would need some advice on that in terms of the exact date of the expiry, to be able to put the exact date of expiry within the motion. The motion states that you're allocating the funding, and council officers would ensure that the funding is expended prior to or in line with the grant guidelines, and the funding agreement.
Yep, I'm happy with that.
Are you comfortable with that?
I am comfortable with that. Thank you.
All right, councillors, you've heard the discussion. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Yep.
That is carried. Councillor Simpson, Councillor Stewart, I didn't see your hand, so we'll mark you as abstained from that one. Thank you. 8.2.5, community grants. Ms. Atkins, would that be you again?
It is me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, councillors, I'm pleased to present this report to council, which introduces the updated community support policy with specific reference to our community grants program. The policy has been updated on the recommendation of the municipal monitor to better reflect recommendation 3 of the VARGO report that recommends excluding councillors from assessing and making recommendations on grant applications. This report has been presented to councillors for consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms Atkins. Council's got a recommendation that council adopt the updated community support policy. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Pollard and a seconder. Do we have a seconder anywhere? We do not. We do not have a seconder for this, so that recommendation and motion will lapse.
Move on to the next one.
We just move on to the next. So we'll move on to the next one. 8.3 financial reports, which I have none. 8.4.1 Council Plan 21-25 Year 3 Annual Plan Review. Ms Atkins, that is you again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, councillors, I am pleased to present this report to council, which is the final update on Year 3 Annual Plan of our Council Plan 2021 to 2025. It is also a great opportunity to provide some highlights of the past year's achievements, which include the finalisation and adoption of the Bull Oak Shire Children, Youth and Family Strategy, the Road Services Internal Service Review, facilitating transition of community members receiving home and independent support services to new providers under the federal government Support at Home program. Please note that any actions not completed in Year 3 will be reported to council during the 2024-25 financial year. This report is being presented to councillors for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, we've got a recommendation that council note the progress made to deliver the strategic objectives noted in the Year 3 Annual Plan for the Bull Oak Council Plan 2021-2025 at attachment 1 to this report. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Councillor Milne, Councillor Simpson, Councillor Milne, comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Always good to get a snapshot of where we're up to on these sort of things, and I guess Year 3 of the council plan is a significant milestone in any plan. I guess there's a long list of achievements that that have been noted as ticked off. I guess if I've got a concern, it's the number of delayed projects. And there's reasons why, I have no doubt, and we all probably know them, but it's possibly, as we indicated some time ago when we did the Year 2 review in Nandaly 12 months ago, that by allowing some of these things to fall into another year, that the workload was too big for the third year, and plus with what was already on the list for that year in the original plan. So in my opinion, I can see that some of that may have happened, but I still think that we're achieving relatively well, given the shortage of staff in some of these departments and other affecting issues, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milne. Councillor Simpson.
Just to say that, yes, we've had significant achievements through the last 12 months, and that we have commenced fairly much all of the projects which we had listed for the third year of council. And I note that several of those projects are multi-year projects. Looking forward to a report for the end of the 4-year annual plan to see that most of those projects are completed.
Thank you. Any other councillor? All those in favour? That is carried. Thank you.
Well done to everyone.
4.2.2 Council Plan 2021-2025 Year 4 Annual Plan. Ms Atkins, would you like to have another go?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, councillors, I'm pleased to present this report to council that introduces the fourth and final annual plan of our council plan 2021-2025. The plan proposes 17 actions, which include the development and adoption of a reconciliation plan in collaboration with registered Aboriginal parties and traditional owners, and the development of a good local events framework to better support local events. This report is being presented to councillors for consideration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, we have a recommendation that council adopt the council plan 2021-2025 year 4 annual report as attachment 1 to this report. I have a mover and a seconder, please, for this. Councillor Mills, Councillor Pollard, we've got there, thank you. Discussion, Councillor Mills?
No, again, quite a number of achievements but in this particular situation, a lot of this work is still ongoing with a period of time still to happen for this period. So some exciting things there still to happen, and I guess it's just hope that nothing gets in the way of council and particularly the staff completing all that they set out to achieve in this particular space, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard?
No, I just confer with Councillor Mills' words and note this is the direction for the council in the next 12 months.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Any other council? All those in favour?
Yeah.
That is carried. Thank you. 8.5 report from councillors. I'll use this room.
8.4.3.
Better.
Didn't you get them eyes fixed, Mr. Mayor?
I did.
Just having these tickets in line.
Eyes are good.
Would you like a copy?
I changed the box here because someone didn't put it in mine. I wonder. 8.4.3. 2024 local government community satisfaction survey results. Ms. Atkins again.
Final stage tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, councillors, I'm pleased to present this report to council, which is the results of the 2024 local government community satisfaction survey results. This report is being presented to councillors for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Council got a recommendation that council note the results of the 2024 local government community satisfaction survey and publish the results of the survey to the community. Could I have a mover and a seconder for those, please? Councillor Pollard and a seconder. Councillor Stewart, thank you. Councillor Pollard, comments, please. Now you're on mute, Councillor Pollard.
Councillor Pollard.
Apologise. I think it's a survey that happens every year, and I believe the community should be able to see the results. So it's good that we're putting it out into the community.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart?
No comment.
Any other councillor? Councillor Warren?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I don't want to dwell over spilt milk, etc. But I do note, as they say, there is a silver lining in every cloud. And if I read this report correctly, our community recreation facilities are just about the best in the state of Victoria and recognised by some, certainly in our community, as, 4 percentage points above anyone else. I think what we should be doing to celebrate this is writing to our community committees, thanking them for their effort, and perhaps as a tidbit, referring to further funding of these groups to the budget discussions next year so they keep up the good work on our behalf, because ultimately people will look at this and think it's councils that have done this. As much as I'd like to say it's our volunteer communities that have undertaken this work on our behalf and made us look good. Thanks, Mayor.
Any other councillors? Councillor Middle.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I tend to agree with Councillor Warren's comments there, in that we do rely heavily on our volunteers to keep a lot of our areas neat and tidy and up to scratch, and we thank them very much for that. I guess in, you know, if you look at it in this light, that if we had to rely on council to do those, at the moment we would be struggling with the staff list that we've got. So we have to be very grateful for the fact that we've got those committees of management and subsequent volunteers that undertake that work on council's behalf. The other thing I'd like to mention, I guess, is that there's a number of items there where we've slipped a little bit, and roads, no surprise, roads are in there at the bottom of the list, and I guess I think we're on a bit of a track to maybe get some better understanding on how roads go. I think our community consultation, what was it, 18 months ago, through the road shows, and the eventual formalisation of a bit of a task force or committee of ratepayers to help us, to guide us through some of this, will set us on a better course for better results for roads. And I guess the one that does concern me a little bit is our feedback to our people, the clearness of communication back to our people, and that's, I think that hits every one of us. Community consultation, and while we do consult heavily with our community, I think the issue we have is customer service within that consultation process, where we could all probably do a little bit better, from councillor to CEO to staff, where we actually have a system that allows us to get back to customers on time and with the accurate information. So I know it's a process that we're working on, and I know we've probably been tearing our hair out over this for a number of years, but I think, we must protect our brand, Mr. Mayor, and for all of us, as I said, all of us around this table and anybody else that has interaction with customers on behalf of Bull Oak Shire, we need to make sure we get it right.
Thank you. Any other councillors?
Mayor, before you move that, look, I'd like to move that with the consent of the mover and seconder, that we add 2 extra points there in the recommendation. That is to write to these community recreation reserve committees of management and thank them on our behalf for the great work they've done in this area, and also to refer further funding to the budget considerations for next year.
Hang on 2 seconds there, please, Councillor Warren. I'm just taking some advice on that.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Councillor Warren, I've been advised that we should take that as an action item out of the minutes and do that, what you're saying, but it cannot be added to the motion that has been put at the moment. Are you comfortable with that?
No.
No, not really. I'd like to see it on the record. I mean, we've just talked about the the diving customer service and respect. I think we need to acknowledge that.
Councillor Warren, I've further been advised that then you would have to, with the consent of the mover and the seconder, draft a completely alternate motion.
No, I just said that. I said with the consent of the mover and seconder, I'd like to add 2 extra points.
No, a complete new amended motion, Councillor Warren.
Well, there are. Okay, so the new complete amended motion would read like this, Mayor. We note the results of the 2024 Local Government Community Satisfaction Survey, and 2, publishes the results of the survey to the community. 3, write to our volunteer community recreation reserves committees and thank them on our behalf for their great work. And 4, add extra financial support to the discussion for the development of the 25-26 budget.
Councillor Pollard, Councillor Stewart, are you comfortable with that amended motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'm comfortable with writing to the community groups, but I'm not comfortable with making any changes to next year's budget for the new council to decide on. They can decide on that when the new council is elected.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll accept that compromise because that'll be on the record. That'll be on the record.
Thank you. Councillor, you've heard Councillor Warren's amended motion.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Stewart, did you have a comment on that amended motion?
They're frozen.
You've actually frozen, Councillor Stewart, Councillor Pollard, you're no longer moving. There you're back. I've got you back. Councillor Stewart, you comfortable with that amended motion with that section that Councillor Pollard said removed? You're on mute, people.
Seems like you did.
Councillor Stewart, are you comfortable with that amended motion? Nothing's frozen again. There, you're back.
Yeah, Councillor Stewart's comfortable with that amendment too.
Thank you. So Councillor Warren has moved the amended motion. Can I have a second of that amended motion, please?
Is it an amendment or a?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, there was an amendment proposed, but it was accepted by the mover and a seconder.
Yes.
So that becomes the motion.
So it becomes the motion.
Right, so that becomes the motion.
Yeah.
All right. So all those in favour?
Yeah. No.
That is carried. Thank you.
Yeah.
8.5, report from councillors. And again, I'll go on the screen. Councillor Warren, you can get a first cab off the rank.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Mayor. Look, I've had a relaxing month since I've seen you last for various reasons. I've only really had one major engagement, and the acting CEO knows all about that meeting I attended, and I think that matter has now been resolved in terms of the Workspace Australia lease situation. So that's about it for me.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard.
Mr. Mayor, I've attended a couple of meetings, one of the Australian Livestock Sale Yards Association conference, whereas two things that I should be bringing up. First is that the Australian Sale Yards Association is looking to merge with the Australian Livestock Markets Association in forming a new group called Sale Yards Australia Proprietary Limited. We're still working through the intricacies of this merger, and I'll bring some more of that information up at a briefing. And the other thing that we probably should look at in reference to the sale yards is the biosecurity of the transit stock, because I believe there's some stock put in our yards. And I think we should get just a record of the stock that are moving through the sale yards. There was an instance that was shown when some livestock was sold from Wagga to go to Hay, but the documentation didn't say that they stopped off at Shepparton on the way through. And that's the issue that is going to come up if something like foot and mouth was involved with the livestock. At least with a record of it, we've got there's a record of it for Agricultural Victoria to work through where the stock have been.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Councillor Stewart.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Councillor Simpson?
Apart from the council meetings and, briefings, I attended the North Central Land, board meeting as the council delegate, and I attended the Bull Oak Tourism AGM at Nullarbor.
Thank you. Councillor Mills?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through you, a number of things that I'll briefly touch on. The Municipal Fire Management Prevention Committee meeting here in this room on the 11th. A couple of things to come out of that. We did the workshop, the group workshop on the town and asset protection plan, and roadside rail and fuel management is still to come. That's the last out of the three of the categories that. Four categories we've got to do. One of the well, there's a number of things to come out of that, and I guess the use of fire prevention by burning on roadsides and some blocks is now being heavily encouraged by CFA again, as opposed to going away from it some time ago. But all this is done in consultation with our environment people here and head CFA environment people. So Anna's been a great asset in this space, and she's been easy to work with on most of this stuff, given that she has a fair call on a lot of it. So one of the things that we asked that will come to council for some consideration, I guess, in the future, will be the use of livestock within urban areas towards the summer period to clear out the larger blocks. And for example, south end of Watcham, where there's 10 and 12 acre blocks that are too big to mow, the requirement at the moment that local laws put on it, or the CFA Act puts on it, is that you only have to slash a 2 or 3 metre fire break around the outside of these, which in a lot of cases probably is a useless act. So we're just looking to have the discussion on how we might be able to introduce livestock, given that most of them have to have a permit to be in town situation, and numbers that currently don't allow for big numbers. But it's an area that was particularly of interest to all in attendance, and I'm just flagging that as being something of a discussion coming up. Attended Birchip Forum, and there's been a list of things that have come in from there, and pleased to report that a lot of those have been ticked off in the last 2 or 3 days. So some happy locals over there. As Councillor Simpson said, we had the Bull Oak Tourism AGM recently, and it was held at Nullarbor, where we did have a bit of a look through a couple of local attractions up there before heading to the museum for the AGM. Can I recommend Tritbots and the artist in the old church up there as something that people should have a look at. But the AGM saw a change of guard with Chairman Milne has stepped down and been replaced by Chairman Warren for the next 12 months. He was coerced into that from a long way away by a text message. So thank you very much, Darryl, for allowing me a break in that situation. And Caroline Olive has continued on as Secretary Treasurer with Stacey. I always call her Stacey. Marcy, she will kill me. Marcy Pollington as our Vice President at this stage. So, and we were able to report a slow but decent year of activity. Following on from that, we attended the Mallee Field Days as Bull Oak Tourism, where we had a stand up there and presented our brochures and pamphlets and some new stuff, which was quite successful over the 2 days. And we're thankful for the help of a number of people within the Nandola community for that, plus some of our other members from Richard Group here who attended on days to promote the stand. Rural Rail Freight Alliance in Melbourne was a very interesting an interesting meeting, and I guess we did have as our guest speaker somebody that a lot of us in this shire know very well in our former CEO, who's now the head of the secretary of the transport ministry, so one of the highest paid bureaucrats. But Paul was there, and he gave us a great rundown on what's coming, what's happening in that sector, and just what his role in that secretary's position entails. And so Paul Younis, a very worthy speaker and somebody who carries himself very well. And last night we had the Watch and Progress Committee meeting, where we had the delightful Gaynor, bearer of presents, and her outsider Sean, to finalise the Watcham community plan, which was attended by a small number of people, but was very productive. Yes, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milton.
And if you got all that written down, good on you.
Yeah, my report is attached to the agenda, but I just want to highlight a couple of things out of that. I attended the Deaker roadmap for the mineral sands mining that's coming. We thought we were going to see some development with renewable energies. Well, on that roadmap, there is a hell of a lot of that going to happen through our region. So one to keep an eye on. And the other one I attended was the Charlton College VCAL group presentation on a disused piece of land in Charlton. And I thank Councillor Pollard for organising the students in that regard. A number of the council officers, the CEO and myself attended the college to see that presentation, and it was well done, well put together, and hopefully we see an outcome for that to become a BMX type play park in Charlton. So thank you, Councillor Pollard, and the rest is there for having a read. Nine, other business. 9.1, notice of motion. I have nil. 9.2, questions from councillors. Any questions from councillors? Councillor Mill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of questions or maybe some observations. Firstly, I'd like to council to note the passing of Councillor Bob Redden of the Horsham Rural City Council. He was a sitting councillor, and I served with him on a number of delegated committees. Councillor Redden passed last week, so I'd just like us to note that. The other thing I'd like to note and comment on is that today, Yarriambiack Council gifted to the Matoa community council-owned land for a housing community project. I put that out there because there is something in our
Councillor Mill, don't say the magic word.
I won't say the magic word, but I'll just say that there's issue where this situation could be very relevant to something in the Bull Shire at the moment.
Thank you.
Question.
Just a comment.
That's a comment. I'm happy to have it noted. I would like to have it noted, please, that it's been brought up. Yes, thank you.
Any other councillors have questions? Councillor Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I think a number of weeks ago we were at Donald at a council briefing, and yourself and the CEO indicated that there had been correspondence from the local government inspectorate in regard to the appointment of a monitor for the Bull Shire, and the letter was to clarify the other roles rather than the ones that have been published in regard to the monitor's appointment. I'm wondering at what point of time the councillors are going to be given a copy of that letter so that we're totally aware of what the role of the monitor includes, or is this something that we'll have to seek under freedom of information? You can take it on notice and get back to me.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I will need to take that on notice just to absolutely clarify, councillor Warren, which letter the CEO was referring to.
Well, the letter that the mayor was there, he's apparently seen it because he and the CEO spoke about it. So it was from the inspectorate, the local government inspectorate, to clarify other matters that haven't been covered apparently in the appointment of the monitor. Thank you.
Thank you. I will take that on notice. Thanks, councillor Warren.
Any other questions? 9.3 urgent business. I have nil. 9.4 any other business? Nil. 9.5 matters which may exclude the public. Councillors, I have a recommendation that pursuant to section 66(1) and 2 and A of the Local Government Act 2020, the meeting will be closed to the public to consider the following reports that are considered to contain confidential information on the grounds provided in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act as indicated. 9.5.1 contract 124 2023-24 which he approved. Wetlands, water infrastructure construction. 9.5.2 C119 2324 bituminous resurfacing. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that, please?
Happy to move that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard, a seconder. All those in favour? That's carried. I will close the meeting.